All right, everybody, welcome to the 16th episode of the Super Grapple Bros podcast about two brothers who are former WWE employees who love the wrestling and the video games.
Mm-hmm.
Them two things, them two hobbies.
Which sometimes cross, but not always.
And not always in great video games either.
Yeah.
But in awesome YouTube channels that, people work on.
We could go with that, I guess.
Yeah, that too. They go hand in hand in that situation. Anyway, we are here, as I said, episode 16. Before we get into it, just hi to Felix 2004 Best, loyal follower who is in the chat. We are discussing WWE Battleground this week, making predictions for Battleground in addition to our weekly wrestling recap. And then in the video games section, we are talking some interesting PlayerUnknown's Battleground news. We got our weekly Overwatch news, of course, as Doomfist is just a week away from releasing. And we've also got some interesting news regarding Dragon Ball Fighters Z. Dragon Ball Fighters, not Dragon Ball Fighter Z. Dragon Ball Fighters. By the way, good job cracking your knuckles right next to the mic.
You're welcome.
I'm sure everybody in the audio is loving that.
Yeah, good Foley work.
What the hell does that mean? Foley work, what?
Like sound effects and stuff.
Oh. That term over my head.
Clearly it did.
Yeah. Where was I? And in addition to the Dragon Ball, Felix, thank you so much for the host as well. In addition to the Dragon Ball Fighter Z news, we also have, or Dragon Ball Fighters, I keep doing that.
Dragon Ball Fighters.
We also have news regarding Kingdom Hearts 3. It finally has a release window after like about 7-8 years in development. I can't even remember when it was announced. 2012, 2011?
I believe they're saying when it eventually comes out, it'll be 12 years.
Mm-hmm. Well, 12 years since 2.
Yeah.
Not since it was revealed to be happening. Anyway, let's get into it with Monday Night Raw on the weekly recap, and I'm going to let you start because I left a little something over on the couch.
Oh, okay. So, Raw started off with a nice little promo between Ambrose and Rollins and Miz coming out that I just kind of liked. It was kind of weird with, Seth being like, you know what, I'm sorry. Because I feel like with Seth Rollins' character, he would never actually apologize.
No, I think he would at this point. At this point, I feel like he's realized that, doing, like, he knew he was just doing it to get ahead by joining the Authority. He thought he was being smart, but I don't think he thought that the Authority would turn on him like that, or Triple H would turn on him. Now that he's had his war with Triple H, I think he's maybe real, and his, like, injury, I think, with that whole thing, I think his character has realized that he was kind of a big dick, kind of a big jerk, and that, like, I don't agree with the whole, like, we're all in this together type thing with the fans, but, like, with somebody, who was, like, his perceived brother in Dean Ambrose, like, I feel like apologizing to him is kind of a big thing for his character.
Yeah, but at the same time, I always thought it was under the idea of, I'm not gonna apologize because I was just doing what we were all doing, which is whatever we could to get ahead and get to that top spot. So I'm not going to apologize for it because I did what I thought I needed to do to get to the top.
Yeah, well, now he realizes now that like the Authority turned on him and everything, and he had nothing for a while and had to fight his way back. He realized like what he did to his friends.
Yeah, true.
So I was fine with it. I didn't mind it, and I think it's interesting.
I just thought it was a little weird.
It was a little weird, but you know what? I was fine with it. Yeah. They're starting to mend the whole Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins relationship, and now who knows? Like there are some people who are thinking that this is basically going to lead to a double turn kind of thing, where like maybe Ambrose is still so bitter that he's going to turn on Rollins and he's going to become heel, and maybe we'll get Ambrose Rollins again, except it's reversed, where Rollins is the face and Ambrose is the heel. Which I love it when Ambrose and Rollins go at one another, so I don't care which one's the bad guy, which one's the good guy.
I just still feel like they could do other things.
Like what? Battle Bray Wyatt?
No. Like battle people like Finn Balor and, Ambrose could battle Samoa Joe and things like that.
Yeah, but they're all locked into things already right now.
True.
What are you gonna do? It looks like basically what we're gonna get is we're gonna get a triple threat match at SummerSlam for the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah. One thing I heard recently that this actually somewhat involves in is that apparently Kurt Angle, I know this is a little bit of a jump, but Kurt Angle, from what I hear, is apparently not planned to wrestle in WWE. Like right now, there's no plans at all. But apparently, the makers of 2K18 are trying to get WWE to do what they did last year with Goldberg and Lesnar, and trying to have the cover athlete Seth Rollins have a match with the pre-order exclusive Kurt Angle at Survivor Series around when the game comes out.
Yeah, but that doesn't work as well as Lesnar Goldberg, because Lesnar Goldberg was a thing.
It doesn't work as well, but I feel like the match would be better. Well, at least longer.
Maybe.
I think it'd be an enjoyable match. I don't think the storyline's there, but I think it'd be an enjoyable match.
I don't see where the story is there. They'd have to do something really... They'd have to make Rollins a smarmy heel again, which I don't think they're going to do. Or they have to turn Kurt Angle into grade A-hole GM. Which, with the reveal of what happened on Raw today, I don't think is going to happen. So
yeah, probably not.
It doesn't make sense to me.
True.
At least at this point in time. I think if he's going to have a match, it's going to be WrestleMania. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was with Triple H. Like, maybe Kurt and Stephanie rekindle, like, the weird relationship type thing they had in the Ruthless Aggression era. Or maybe he and Stephanie come at odds with each other. And then, Triple H and Angle have a history. So Triple H comes in and there's tension and stuff. And, yeah.
Maybe they'll even do something like... I doubt they'd do it, but down the road, do Brand versus Brandon, do like Kurt Angle versus Shane McMahon.
Kurt Angle versus Shane would be cool if you put some sort of like brand stipulation on it, like maybe like
and some plexiglass.
Why bring that up?
Because it was a good match.
No, yeah, but I don't want to see Shane go through that again. He'll die this time.
No, I didn't want to see him jump off of Hell in a Cell, but he did that.
Yeah, and he died. I saw him afterwards. He didn't look good. I saw him after the match. He did not look good. He got messed up. He was messed up.
Yeah, not surprised.
But
anyway. Then Miz and
wait,
Miz
hold on.
came out.
Hold on, wait. What were you talking about? Oh, I didn't finish my point.
About Angle and Shane.
Yeah, I was like, it would be cool if they had some sort of like stipulation.
Winner gets John Cena.
Not like winner gets John Cena or something. Oh, bad timing. That's my phone. That's on me. I'm sorry. I should have silenced that. And turn that off. All right. Well, that's gonna be good in the audio version.
Yep.
Anyway, have some sort of like stipulation where like maybe they're gonna draft some NXT guys, or maybe they'll like do like a new draft where like maybe only like 3 or 4 people, like almost like the Superstar Shakeup, where like the winner gets like the majority of the picks, the first pick or something like that. That'd be cool. Okay, now we can move on to what is next.
Yeah, Miz and the Miztourage came out, and it was basically a chair attack party. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was basically it, which I was just kind of like,
I mean, throwing Rollins into the mix is definitely a good way to spice things up. I don't mind it that much.
Yeah, but it hasn't really spiced it up that much.
It's gotten me interested. I don't mind it. I think seeing Ambrose and Rollins as strange bedfellows after the betrayal of Rollins 3 years ago in the Shield, and seeing them try to be forced to work together and figure out their crap and try to come together to battle Miz and the Miztourage, I kind of like that dynamic. I think that's the interesting part of the angle now. Like, Miz and the Miztourage is kind of like not even really a factor. It's more like, can Rollins and Ambrose get along with each other? Can they like go like succeed despite the tensions amongst each other? And if they both end up in a championship match against Miz, is one going to turn on the other?
True, but I mean, it's also a matter to me of, well, now you've got a storyline where the main prize is the Intercontinental title, but the main focus is on 2 other people that aren't the Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you book, Dean Ambrose versus Miz for like the better part of a year around the Intercontinental Championship.
So I think they should have just, been like, hey, Dean, you had your chance. Let's move on.
Yeah, well, who knows? This might be something to where the Miz might retain, And then Ambrose and Rollins do their own thing after this. Or, I don't know. Like, there really wasn't anybody to give Miz, I don't think.
Rollins.
Then what do you do with Dean?
Have Titus try to get him to join the Titus brand?
For Christ's sake, God, no. Speaking of the Titus brand, that's actually a good transition. I know it's like later on the show, but Tozawa actually battled Arya Daivari in the match. And Daivari
kept
focusing on the shoulder of Tozawa. It looks like he might be hurt. Earlier on in the day, we had a backstage locker room segment where Titus, Apollo, and Tozawa were all like going like, "Oh yeah, Titus worldwide," and like Tozawa was really into it and everything. But then Tozawa looks like he might get his shoulder hurt, so Titus, which is actually like kind of a face thing to do, it really wasn't a heel thing to do.
Yeah.
Like out of concern for his client through the match because he didn't want Tozawa hurting his shoulder, and then Tozawa got pissed off at Titus because he's like, "No, I'm a fighter. I don't give a crap if my shoulder's dislocated or completely broken off. I'm gonna keep fighting in the match, so don't you dare call it off." And stormed off, and looks like, and we're not sure whether or not Tozawa is now done with Titus worldwide or whatever. In which case, like,
if I remember, he was saying something about asking, what's his name, Titus to get him a rematch on 205 Live. I don't know if that happened because I don't pay attention to 205
yeah,
Live.
nobody does. So yeah, it was a little interesting thing with the Titus brand. Maybe they did that whole thing to try and entice people to tune into 205 Live, but unfortunately nobody's going to tune into 205 Live.
Yeah. Maybe if you change things up a bit, WWE, maybe I'd be interested. But
maybe have a hot crowd.
Yeah, maybe have people who are actually excited for wrestling at the time.
Maybe make it actually fast-paced, high-energy wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of regular storylines and stuff like that. But
yeah, and having Drew Gulak with a no-fly zone storyline.
By the way, Drew Gulak had a beard, didn't he?
Used to.
Yeah, because that's the first time I've seen him since he shaved, and I was like, that is not Drew Gulak.
Well, yeah,
like, what the hell?
He also had more of a shaved head, and he's let his hair on the top of his head grow out too.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Kind of parted it, so he does definitely look very.
He looks
different.
a lot different. I'm like, that is not Drew Gulak. What have you done to Drew Gulak?
Yeah.
Or whatever. It was just a little bit of a shock.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen him perform in months. Anyway, we also got Bayley taking on Alexa Bliss. Because Bayley got the rematch, and Bayley got another win! Yeah. Hey, we're building Bayley up again! Thank the Lord Jesus Christ.
Don't you mean the Lord Vincent Kennedy McMahon? It's WWE here.
Oh, wait, it sounds like I slapped you because I wanted to.
Hey, he beat Shawn Michaels and God. Come on.
Let's not talk about that. So yeah, Nia Jax came out, then Sasha Banks came out. The distraction allowed Bayley to get the win. Banks celebrated with Bayley, and now it's like, we don't know who's gonna face her for the championship. So now we've got a situation where I'm pretty sure it's gonna be like we thought. The women's match and the men's match, which we'll talk about later as well. It's probably gonna end up as a fatal 4-way match both ways. It's gonna be Becky, Bayley, and Nia.
Who?
And then
Alexa, Bayley, and Nia, and Sasha.
Sasha, Bayley, and Nia. Because I thought Banks and said Becky. It'll be Sasha, Bayley, Nia, and Alexa. But next week we've got Bayley versus Banks to determine the number 1 contender. But I don't think it's going to end that squeaky clean because Nia's in the mix, and I don't know if we're going to build Bayley up with 2 straight wins just to have her lose to Sasha Banks and then do a rematch, unless they want to do like Bayley versus Nia Jax and Sasha Banks versus Alexa Bliss. But this is like a joint pay-per-view. They really can't be having 1,000,001 different matches.
So wait, you're saying that you think that next week, if the match did have a clean ending, you think Sasha would go over Bayley?
Yeah, I think so. Sasha gave Alexa her best match. Bayley and Alexa didn't really work that well together, and Sasha's the one who's got more of the head of steam. Bayley's got a little bit of head of steam, but she's got to make up for it a lot more than that based on how they treated her the last couple months.
I mean, I feel like giving her a win over Sasha after having gotten the win 2 weeks in a row kind of starts pushing that,
But Sasha also never lost her match, and she's had a ton of momentum going, and she hasn't lost. So it's like,
Yeah, well, Samoa Joe lost his match, and he's getting another title shot, potentially.
Yeah, he lost his championship match.
Samoa Joe.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying he lost a championship match and didn't get the title and might get another championship shot. Bayley lost her championship match and is looking to try and get another championship shot.
But that wasn't the most recent championship match, and she was on the receiving end of a ton of losses and loss of momentum and getting taken out for weeks and weeks after that.
But I'm just pointing out that what better way to build up momentum than to get wins over top superstars?
Yeah, but not that quickly, and not over the person who almost beat Alexa Bliss when she clearly lost to Alexa Bliss 2 months in a row. Like, it wasn't like a wishy-washy finish when she lost to Alexa Bliss twice. No, she got pinned clean.
Okay.
Twice.
I'm just saying that if you want to build up to that and try to build up Bayley, you're not going to build Bayley up by being like, oh, she got 2 wins in a row on Raw, and then the third Raw, she lost.
If you were going to build up Bayley for a title match, a solo title match at SummerSlam, you don't do the number one contendership a month and a half out, or a month out. You wait another 2 weeks, give her some more wins, give her some more momentum, maybe tease that she might be better than Sasha. But in this, she got 2 almost kind of fluke wins on Alexa. Because the other one, it was a tag match, I think, with a roll-up. And then this week, it was off a distraction from Sasha. Because Alexa was distracted with the nonsense outside, and Bayley got the pin.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, Sasha hasn't gotten a win in the last 2 weeks, but that's because she didn't have a match this week, and last week she did get a win. She just didn't get the pinfall because she was in a tag match with Bayley. And then the night before that, she should have won the title, but Alexa Bliss chickened out. So it's like, who looks stronger right now?
I don't know.
So I think Nia is gonna get involved, kind of like what Braun did tonight, which we'll get to eventually, or what Braun did that night, which we'll get to eventually. I think it's going to be a fatal 4-way match because I feel like Bayley doesn't have enough head of steam to beat Sasha Banks, and if she does right now, I think it's a mistake because that really hurts Sasha, because Sasha was going with a full head of steam, and it looked like all indications was that like she was the more challenging and threatening opponent to Bliss than Bayley.
I don't know. I think the main issue I have with the idea of Sasha Banks going one-on-one with Alexa Bliss at SummerSlam is the idea that, well, one thing that I think is hurting the women's division is... I don't think it's going to be... yeah, but I'm not saying it's going to be a one-on-one match. I understand. I'm saying, though, depending on the outcome of this upcoming match, if it ends up being one gets a clean fall over the other, I'm saying my issue with it being just Sasha Banks, if that happened to be the case, is the fact of they're not doing enough diversity of Alexa defending the title in the women's division, because the only people she's faced are Bayley and Sasha.
That's not Sasha Banks' fault. That's not the story as it is right now's fault. That's the fault of the writers then for not giving Alexa a clean win on Sasha.
I don't think it's so much that. I think it's more of them not coming up with different storylines to throw other people in the mix that could deserve a shot. Like maybe Emma.
They do have people in the mix. They have Nia in the mix. She hasn't beaten Nia yet. Bayley and Sasha are the 2 big people, and the WWE has never been high on Emma. I want them to be high on Emma because Emma's really good, but they're not high on Emma. Emma's not going to be a threat in the foreseeable future.
I'm just saying, like, the difference between, example would be Alexa Bliss and her title run and, say, CM Punk when he was WWE champion, is the fact that CM Punk at almost every pay-per-view wrestled someone else.
But you're comparing Alexa Bliss, who hasn't really had that long of a title run, to CM Punk, who has one of the greatest WWE champions in history.
I'm not talking about the wrestler themselves. I'm talking about the idea of how the story goes, of how with that they had the story go from one challenger to another to another to another. Where this one, it's
until they keep going to the whole Ryback Curtis Axel thing, and then things kind of fell apart there. Yeah,
but with this, it's just
this is how wrestling traditionally goes. Jinder Mahal's been battling Randy Orton for the last 4 months.
That's something else.
Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt went for like 3 months. They should have gone longer, but then he got moved over. This is how wrestling traditionally goes. This is how rivalries traditionally go. Traditionally in wrestling, rivalries go a few months. It's not right. Like, even in the Attitude Era, it was like there were lots of rivalries that were intertwining that were going on for months on end. That's wrestling, man. That's a traditional wrestling program. One person wins the first match, somebody wins the second match, then you have a rubber match, then you move on to the next rivalry. But if you do that at pay-per-views, that's 1, 2, 3 pay-per-views. That's 3 months.
I understand. I'm just pointing out that so far, the only people who have been involved and the only people who look like they will be involved are people who have been in the title picture. And I'm saying they need to get new blood in there.
There's a reason for that. And why do they need new blood when when Bayley, Sasha Banks, and Nia are all really good female wrestlers? Why do you need the new blood?
You need the new blood on a week-to-week basis. You need to showcase the rest of your division, otherwise the division will start to flounder.
They do need to showcase the rest of the division, but not at the expense of your top talent. That's not an issue with the Women's Championship program. That is an issue with Raw not booking more than one women's match and getting the other women involved, getting the whole division involved in the show. That's the problem. Not the fact that, like, Alexa isn't getting enough challengers. The problem is that Raw is not. That's one of the probably one negative things about Raw now. Raw is that they are not getting all of their women involved. They are only involving 4 of the women when they have Emma, Alicia Fox. I don't even know who else they have. Dana Brooke. They're not getting those ladies involved in matches.
Which Mickie James as well. But I'm saying that's part of what I'm having an issue with is they're not involved at all. And it's just, you're going to have 4 months, not just on pay-per-views, but every week, just these 4 superstars. And that's what I'm having a problem with right now, is you need to throw more people in.
Like I said, that's not a women's championship problem. That's a women's division problem. You're saying it's a women's championship problem because not enough people are showing up to challenge, and it's the revolving door of those 3 women. But the problem is that you can't just take Emma, who hasn't been doing anything, and have her just suddenly beat these 3, like one of these 3 women who have been competing nonstop for the WWE Women's Championship or trading it, and all of a sudden just throw her into a title program. That's called Jinder Mahaling. Do you want a Jinder Mahal, Emma?
Do you want a Jinder Mahal, Emma? Listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth. I'm saying the issue here is the fact that they are not doing this thing and that it's hurting the championship overall because it's supposed to be for the entire women's division and it's for these entire 4
I don't think
women.
It's hurting the championship overall because I think the best women in the division and the best female wrestlers on Raw are battling for the championship. It's just bad for the division as a whole because it's not as deep as it could be, and it's not good perhaps long term for the division because
and the championship is supposed to represent the top of the division,
but the top of the division is strong. It's behind the top of the division. It's weak.
If the entire division is getting weaker, then the championship by default gets weaker along with it. Yeah. It's not getting as prominent as a whole, on the show. It's not weak right now.
As a whole, it's not weak right now. Bayley and Sasha haven't had their main roster blow up yet, which we're still waiting on. Alexa still has a lot of legs with her championship. She has this rivalry with Nia waiting in the wings. Like, the championship program has legs to last a few months.
Then why has it been the worst match? Well, some of the worst matches on the card for the last few months. Because it hasn't been booked that well.
That's not true, because Sasha and Alexa had one of the best matches at Great Balls of Fire.
I wouldn't say one of the best. They had a good match, but I wouldn't say one of the best.
Yeah, but it wasn't one of the worst. You're saying it with that. You're talking as if all of these matches are god awful.
No,
and they're
I'm
terrible.
Saying
and
that
these women can't work together.
The best match that they had was, I'd say, middle of the card worthy.
No, I think Alexa and Sasha was a really good match. I really liked it. I thought it was one of the best matches of the night. And to be honest with you, the only reason why the Bayley Alexa matches have been bad is because of the booking, not so much the the caliber of the superstars.
What I'm getting to is the booking is the issue.
No, your argument with the booking is that new people aren't getting involved. The problem with the Alexa Bliss and the Bayley program was that Bayley was booked to look like crap
because they weren't booking more people involved, and the only thing they could do is have her go up against people like the champion who she loses to. Maybe if they were booking it where this week they have Bayley versus Mickie James and Bayley goes over there, and then another week they have Bayley versus Dana Brooke and Bayley goes over there, and they book things where they have them against other people, so you're showcasing the division and having wins.
That's the problem with Raw as a whole, because they're only booking one women's match at a time despite having 3 hours of programming.
That's not the issue. It could
Yes, it
still
is,
involve
because if
the
they-
storyline
because-
with other people.
Because they should have a match that involves the main event women's thing, and then they should have a match that involves other people in there. And then in which case, if we're doing what you say, have Bayley battle Emma and beat Emma, have Bayley battle Mickie James and beat Mickie James. How's that helping the bottom of the division if the top rung people are just beating the lower rung?
You don't do that
superstars
every single week. I'm saying you do that as an example to build up one individual superstar, but you have them face more than just a total of up to, especially with the way the story's going, 1 or 2 people every week.
Yeah, but for the last couple months, this is just what the story is formed into. I feel.
I'm saying it's very similar to what's going on with 205 Live with how they're doing it on Raw. Is you've got the champion and whoever the contender is, and that's the majority of what you do. Granted, this week they finally, for once, started doing more than one cruiserweight match.
We've spent way too much time on this. We need to move on. We'll just agree to disagree, and we can always talk about this next week. But we've spent like 10, maybe 15 minutes arguing on discussing this, and we need to move on because we got a lot of stuff to talk about. So. The other cruiserweight championship match we had was Jack Gallagher and Mustafa Ali versus Brian Kendrick and Drew Gulak. Again, like I said, I am completely shocked by Gulak's transformation because I haven't seen him in weeks. It was an okay match. Made Mustafa Ali look really, really good, and I think he might be the next one to challenge Neville for the championship.
It'd be nice, but I have a feeling they probably won't do that.
Why not?
Because they just pick random people, it seems, to challenge. So I feel like it's whoever you think is going to challenge next isn't always the person. Like we thought he was going to have a decent program with TJ Perkins, and like one match, oh, by the way, Tozawa's here.
Yeah, but that was the exception rather than the rule. Traditionally, ever since the Cruiserweight Championship has been in existence, the cruiserweight who keeps winning traditionally ends up becoming the next number one contender. I'm not saying maybe Ali would be like his challenger at SummerSlam. That might still be Tozawa. Maybe it'll be a triple threat match, but I think Ali, after they're done with Tozawa, is the next guy because they're building him up to be the next guy. And the reason why Neville and Perkins was kind of a quick blow off was because I think they realized they wouldn't be able to do the program with Austin Aries because Aries was he was on the way out. B, they were both heels, so you can't do a program of heel versus heel. And are you going to turn TJ Perkins twice in a 6 month period?
That's one thing that always bothers me. Why can't you do heel versus heel, face versus face?
Because the main crowd doesn't get behind it. It's fine for a one-off thing on Raw, but you can't build a major pay-per-view program around one of your championships with heel versus heel.
But they've done that with things like the Ministry and the Corporation.
That was like 15 years. That was like, what, 20 years ago almost?
Yeah, but it's something that worked.
No, it really didn't. And it ended up becoming, it was 2 heel factions fighting it out. It was never on the main event stage where it wasn't like The Undertaker was battling Vince and Shane. The Undertaker, if anything, was battling Austin, and Shane and Vince were battling Austin. And then we found out they were all working together, so it ended up being like it was a lower card thing. It wasn't a championship level thing.
I just feel like if the story's there, you can make pretty much anyone versus anyone work, so long as you have the story right.
And I mean, at certain points of that storyline, they were heel factions, but there were times where the members of the corporation were actually more faces because they were like defending Stephanie McMahon, whereas the Ministry was dark and evil. And then when the Ministry and the corporation, maybe corporate Ministry, started to fall apart after the Undertaker was gone, the Ministry members kind of looked like the faces, and the corporation, like, they molded it so that way there was a face and a heel. It wasn't pure heel versus heel. I mean, maybe they could have done that with TJ, but that would have meant turning TJ again for the second time in 6 months.
No, it could have just been TJ getting aggressive over the fact that, Neville takes cheap shots and stuff like that. Like I said, it could work. Not for a very long period of time, but I think long enough for a pay-per-view match.
I don't think it would have worked for that. Not in today's world, I don't think. Then we had a Enzo and Cass promo. Enzo came out, talked shit. Cass came out to make sure he got hit, but he didn't. Big Show came out, they brawled, and then Cass knocked down Show and kicked the living hell out of Enzo. Enzo did like a tilt-a-whirl. on that, which was cool. Good moment. Don't know if I like where it's going of a Big Show versus Big Cass match. So I don't know if that's going to be great. Nothing against the Big Show. I'm not much a fan of big guy versus big guy because I feel like it's very slow moving.
Yeah, I'm not a fan
slow
of
paced matches.
Big guy versus big guy, especially when one big guy is getting towards the end of his career. He's in great shape, but he's getting towards the end of his career, and you can see it in his movements.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a matter storyline wise, it wouldn't be terrible because of the fact of he's facing someone who's a former world champion. But at the same time, it's also a former world champion who's at the end of his career, and he won't have that great of a match with them.
I mean, it's meant to build up. This is just a program meant to build up Cass. So, I mean, like, it'll serve its storyline purposes, and I think it's fine. I just don't think the match is the match just isn't going to be that great.
It's like, hey, it happened. I enjoyed watching it. I don't remember it, but I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. We had Finn Balor versus Elias Samson. It was actually a good match. It was actually a really good match.
I know, but I'm talking about the end of the match.
And then the end of the match, Samson murdered Balor with the guitar.
Oh.
Jeff Jarrett hard style.
God.
And then we got what seems like the Wyatt Balor feud that everybody's been clamoring for. That we know Wyatt's gonna lose. I almost feel like they delayed this rivalry and gave Wyatt Rollins so that way they could give Wyatt a win before he loses to Balor.
I think it's a combination of that and there's a good amount of time between between that pay-per-view and now SummerSlam, which is end of August SummerSlam normally is.
Mm-hmm.
And we're now the middle, getting towards the end of July. I think they'll have a decent amount of time to build that storyline back up. And I'm hoping it's something where one of the main reasons they're doing it is for Bray to bring back out the demon.
Yeah.
Hoping that's what it'll do.
But Wyatt's going to eat another loss. Yeah. And Wyatt's and I feel like, yes, a Wyatt versus Balor rivalry would be great. But I don't think now's the time. Because I don't think Wyatt's in a state where he can afford to keep losing.
I agree.
Like, he beat Rollins, but he needs to keep winning for him to be seen as a credible threat. And he's just going to lose to Balor, and then we're just going to be like, well, here's Bray Wyatt again on Raw, talking all of his boogity nonsense that we know isn't going to mean anything because he's just going to lose again.
Yep. But, once again, it's poor booking on the case of Raw.
Yeah. Poor Bray Wyatt. I did not play Tap Mania. I took a look at the videos. I had no interest in it whatsoever. It didn't look like an entertaining game to me. It's just tapping the screen as fast as you can. And I didn't know that Mark Henry was retired. I didn't know did Mark Henry officially retire?
I think it's I didn't watch it, but I know after Raw they did a table of 3 with the Nation of Domination. So they had Mark Henry, The Godfather,
Ron Simmons.
And I don't think it was Ron Simmons.
It couldn't be D'Lo Brown. Couldn't be The Rock. Couldn't be Owen Hart, obviously.
No.
Or maybe it was Owen Hart. Maybe it was. Maybe they figured out a way to pass into the spirit world.
It may have been Ron Simmons, but I don't remember it being him. But yeah, they did a table for 3 with them afterwards, and apparently I remember in the commercial for it they were talking about how someone was asking Mark what was going on with him in his career now. And I think it might be he's basically done with wrestling. I mean, for a while at the end, it was basically he was just coming back whenever they happened to need him for a storyline.
Yeah, he re-signed a contract and had that awesome 1-month title rivalry with Cena, which I think he should have won, and that program should have carried for another month or so.
Yeah, I mean, he did a great job as World Heavyweight Champion.
And then he did nothing after that, and they haven't been using him really. He's in the back every single week, but they just aren't using him.
Well, it was every now and then they'd bring him on to wrestle some big guy to make the big guy look strong, or hey, we need something, hey, can you and Show wrestle? Yeah, sure, why not? They'd be seen maybe 2 or 3 times a year since then, him and Show is being shown more. But yeah, I have a feeling that they're gonna start taking on more of a agent role, especially for the bigger guys in the company, him and Show.
Yeah, and Felix, I wouldn't say he is already retiring from wrestling because the dude is old.
Yeah, I think
Mark
he was saying in
Henry's
the
up
commercial
there.
that he's been in the business for like 25 years or something.
He's been because
he started in the 90s.
No, he started in the 90s, but he was in the 1996 Olympics.
Yeah,
So he started after the 96 Olympics. I think he
Yeah.
got into the WWE in 98, 97 or 98. He got signed right after the Olympics. So he's been doing this for about 20 years, not 25 years, because it's 2017 now. He got signed after the Olympics, so at the very least, at the earliest, he signed and started wrestling in '96, and that was the summer of '96 too. So like, that means that at most 21 years.
Okay, like I said, I thought he had said something about being involved in it for that that length of time in the commercial, but I could have been mistaken. I know it was 20 something. I thought he said 25, but could be wrong.
Hi K1, thank you for the appreciation of the show. We love wrestling too. If you couldn't tell from the fact that we were arguing for 15 minutes over the women's division in Raw.
Yeah.
Anyway, away from the Mark Henry thing, back onto the Raw thing. The big thing from Raw, we found out what Kurt Angle's deep dark secret that could ruin his career and family was. And that's in college. He accidentally knocks somebody up and has a son
that happens to be a very good wrestler.
That happens to be a real. It's like
that's totally gonna ruin your career because his career will outshine yours or something.
My career is ruined. I knocked up a girl in college when I wasn't married or seeing anybody else. When I was in a consensual relationship with this girl.
And didn't find out about it until a few weeks ago.
Yeah, and she told me. And he happens to admire me. And he's a really good dude. He's a cool superstar. He's an NXT Tag Team Champion. He's Jason Jordan. Oh God, I'm gonna get fired.
Because he's a Smackdown guy.
Like I'm fine with Jason Jordan being revealed as Kurt Angle's son. I've always been of the mind that I felt like Kurt Angle, when he came back, should have been a mentor and a manager of American Alpha, and I don't think American Alpha should have broken up at this point. But I think I think Chad Gable's good enough on his own, and Jason Jordan with Kurt Angle will set him in the right place. I think I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with is the way they built this up, because they made it out like this was some really horrible dark secret that was like gonna cause a lot of backlash from Kurt Angle. It's like, no, dude just had a son when he was in college, didn't even know about it. Now he's trying to be a good father about it. Like, how is that a career threatening or image threatening thing? If you went Attitude Era on it, it was like, oh, I had an affair with my wife with Jacqueline back in the Attitude Era with like Karen Angle, and now it's Jason Jordan, and like, you cheated on your wife, you slept with another female superstar and didn't tell anybody, and maybe Jason Jordan's like evil and causing all this ridiculousness, like you created a hellspawn, or you cheated on your current or your ex-wife, or you cheated on your current wife or whatever, or something like that, and it's like, that's a problem. Or you're sleeping with Stephanie or something like that. Like, that's something that can ruin your career. But like, this is not a damaging thing. This is just a regular thing.
Yeah. But they want to try and play it up as a big thing for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But apparently they've got plans to give Jason Jordan a pretty solid mid-card push now.
That'd be nice. I think it would be really cool to see him go up against Miz and the Miztourage.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
For the United States Championship. You know, let Ambrose and Rollins go off and do their own thing without the title because they don't need it. And then have Jason Jordan go up against Miz and the Miztourage. And then you have an interesting thing because you got the Miztourage, but you've got Angle making sure the Miztourage don't get interfered with. Then you've got Miz maybe complaining to Stephanie about Angle misusing his authority and stuff like that. And Jordan can go ham on the Miztourage.
You do also have the seeds planted of Angle and Miz not being the biggest fans of each other, because right before Great Balls of Fire, they did that whole thing of Angle came out and Miz started talking back to him, being like, I'm your top star, what are you gonna do? And then him being like, okay, well, you're gonna face Heath Slater for the Intercontinental Championship now, and Dean Ambrose for the Intercontinental Championship at Great Balls of Fire. You had that whole thing of him getting under Angle's skin and Angle being like, well, you know what, this is what I'm going to do to you. So that would also feed into that kind of storyline. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think it's a good thing. I think good things are coming for Jason Jordan. And I like the idea of pairing Angle and Jason Jordan. I just think it was an awkward start. And in no way was this a horrible, horrible secret that would ruin Kurt Angle's life and career.
Yeah, it wasn't really as ridiculous as they were making it.
So, like, all the buildup was kind of unneeded and ridiculous and dumb.
I want to get to the next part because my favorite tag team.
Rival and the Hardy Boys?
Yes. The Revival are finally back in wrestling.
And they beat the Hardys.
Yes.
So, maybe we will eventually see the Hardys get broken because they keep losing, so... For Christ's sake, if Anthem Sports has not given the rights to the Hardy Boys yet, you better goddamn well do it because this is ridiculous, and I want to see this. Goddamn it, you're depriving wrestling fans all over the world of being able to see the Hardy Boys at their best.
I just heard some news. I forget whether it was last night or this morning that I want to talk about briefly that you reminded me of by mentioning Anthem, which Have you heard about the new thing with contracts with Anthem and GFW?
Let's finish up Raw, and then we can get into that.
All right.
Because we've still got SmackDown, NXT, and predictions to go through. Then all the video game stuff. We're like pretty far into it right now.
All right.
Anyway, we've got Raw finished up with Samoa Joe versus Roman Reigns, and as expected, Braun Strowman
was not finished with Roman Reigns yet.
Yeah. As expected, Braun Strowman came out and he wrecked the place. That was so. Not only was that match between Joe and was the match
Joe
between
Reigns.
Samoa Joe and Joe Samoan very, very like awesome. Like they killed it out there. They had a hell of a match. Then Strowman comes out and just destroys them. And I think the best part was that Joe locks in the Coquina clutch. Roman Superman punches Strowman, and Strowman's just like, yeah, nah, and just like shrugs Joe off of him, and then just power slams to hell both the two of them.
I was really hoping to see one of them get power slammed onto the other, but my God, that was good.
Good God, Raw's main event scene is firing on all cylinders right now. You've got Joe built up like a monster. You've got Roman built up and actually looking good, like really good. I think this is the best this last month and a half since Roman got involved with Strowman might be the best I've ever seen Roman perform so far in his career. I think he's reaching that next level finally with this new I don't give a crap character, and just the way he's selling, he's hitting fire on all cylinders. And then you got Braun looking like a total beast, taking them both out.
God. I think Braun is definitely one of my favorite guys in the main event picture now.
Yeah.
I am loving it, and I'm really hoping he somehow gets in that title match and gets a title, because my God, he has just been so good.
Just what an ending. I will say, and I know a lot of people might not like what I say here, because I feel like a lot of people still are on the F Roman Reigns bandwagon, or on that side of the fence, but I don't care who wins at SummerSlam. I think I'll be happy with whoever wins the championship here. Because I think you've got great storylines coming out of it, regardless of what happens.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be amazing.
It's going to be really good.
Mm-hmm.
God, Strowman is just so good.
Yeah, so Raw ended on a very strong note. We're probably going to get the Fatal 4-Way, and I can't wait because I think that match is going to be amazing. And then you can take the championship off of Brock, and it can go to any of those three guys, and I would be content with any of them. It would be great to see Braun or Joe win, so that way they get their first title run, because Roman's already had his runs. But I think with what Roman was able to show what he could do with both Joe and Braun over the last few months, and this week with Joe, I think him having the championship and just having a program with either of them will be amazing. So that was Raw. Do you want to touch on your Anthem Sports thing before we get to
very
SmackDown?
Quick thing. You know how a lot of people complain, at least wrestlers complain about WWE's whole merchandising thing and how they don't get all the money and it depends on how well yeah, well, that they get a percentage of it. Well, apparently new things in
Royalties.
Contracts with GFW and Anthem, now that they're one thing, is that apparently they are now going to be taking 10% of money made from talents on their indie appearances. So, like, if, let's say, I don't know, for some reason struggling to think of who's still in Anthem who hasn't, like Bobby Lashley. Let's say Bobby Lashley goes and does a random, like,
right
NJWP. They get 10% of that, and that the wrestlers will now get none of the merchandising that is sold with their image.
Right there is a great way to kill your already fledgling business that you just tried to resurrect.
Yep.
Because with the way because ROH is still hanging in there, and with the way that New Japan over this last year has been firing on all cylinders, you're basically saying,
don't come to
we'll
us.
rip this up because we know you're not going to sign it and you're going to go to Japan. We don't want you. Go to New Japan.
Yeah.
We don't want you. Go to New Japan.
It's ridiculous.
That's horrible. Like WWE is the only company in that kind of position to do that kind of stuff. And like, I don't even know if that's a fair legal business practice to deny contractors of royalties from their own merchandise.
Well, it's basically when they sign the contract, they're signing it away.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I don't think that statute in the contract is even fair or legal. Like, I think like wrestlers might be able to like do a class action lawsuit against Anthem to force them to give them royalties.
I don't think they're going to need to, though, because I think they're going to, with this whole idea that they're just going to lose all of their superstars and just go out of business because of it.
I mean, and like so many of their superstars, WWE is sitting there licking their chops, waiting for him to open up, like Bobby Lashley. I wouldn't mind seeing him return.
Yeah,
Lashley's hit it. I believe EC3 is still with TNA. He would be great. I wouldn't mind seeing Brodus Clay come back.
So long as he's not the Funkasaurus again.
Yeah, like if you get like ass kicking, like no mercy monster Brodus Clay, I wouldn't mind seeing him back. Yeah.
Just take them, and with at least some of them, you could even just do what they did with Drew McIntyre. Throw them in NXT, let them thrive there, and then they'll eventually come back up and take over. I mean, look at Bobby Roode. Mm-hmm. He is doing amazing in NXT.
Yeah. And like if you wanted at any point to try and maybe compete with WWE and maybe lure some talent from like ROH or New Japan over, now they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
It's like ROH, I believe, is probably on the same level right now as TNA. Yeah, and probably. I feel like New Japan is they're the second best promotion in the world now. It's not TNA anymore. So like, how is this get guys from ROH and New Japan or places maybe like What Culture in England to look at you and say, yeah, I kind of want to sign that because, when I go back to my home promotion or where the place that's paying me right now that has just as much, if not more exposure than you, I'm not going to get as much money from working with them.
And it doesn't hurt that ROH and New Japan have a good working deal between them where they share superstars and everything.
Yeah, and also doesn't help that, like WWE has a bigger tendency to sign guys who are with What Culture or ROH or New Japan as opposed to TNA. They don't normally touch people who are doing Impact Wrestling.
Well,
unless their contract is up,
yeah,
and they're like, and they made a big name, and they were a former WWE guy, or they made a big name for themselves somewhere else,
like Bobby Roode or Austin Aries, things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like those are guys who or AJ Styles. I mean, AJ went to New Japan and reached new heights, but like those were guys where they established themselves when Impact Wrestling was at their height.
Yeah,
like nobody is going to.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, yes, that's true. Felix, no, Del Rio's never coming back. But like, if I'm an independent wrestler, I know Anthem and Global Force isn't gonna pay me more than what like New Japan or ROH or maybe even What Culture would offer me.
Especially,
I know I'm gonna get as much, if not more, exposure. I'm gonna get the lion's share of my money, most, not all of my money. And all my royalties from my merch sales, or at least a royalty. And I know that WWE is going to have a better eye has more of an eye fixated on those promotions over Global Force Wrestling.
Yeah.
Like, I understand that Impact Wrestling has been bleeding out money forever.
But you're just gonna kill off your
But
talent.
yeah, but doing this is not going to help because you're not going to attract anybody.
Yeah,
You're
can
not-
technically make some more money for a very short period of time.
Yeah, you're no longer. This isn't like 2004, 2005. You are no longer the promotion that is essentially the spiritual successor of WCW that rose from the ashes of that deal, that has all these WWE talent and these fresh young people who are hungry. Like, you're a failing business that is hemorrhaging money, and people are already leaving your company like there's like rats on a floating ship, like rats on the Titanic.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you going to do? You're going to go down to the lower deck and be like, you know what? We don't need these flood doors to prolong the ship from sinking as long as possible. We don't need to call, I believe the name of the ship was the Carpathia or whatever it was, that's going to come and save people, try and save as many people who don't freeze in the waters. We're just going to let this drown faster and faster and send more people into the Atlantic.
You know what this ship could use? More holes.
Yep.
But anyway.
We digress, so we will move on to SmackDown Live.
Yeah, if
It
you want to
started-
do that quick. I did not watch SmackDown.
It started with Jinder Mahal going into the Punjabi prison. It looked as goofy as it sounded. They tried to beef it up, but I'm like, it's the Punjabi prison. And they're like, oh, it's been 10... The whole, like, match, they're like, oh, the whole night they've been like, oh, it's been 10 years since the Punjabi prison. There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Not because it's a dangerous match, because it's a not a good match.
It's
Then Randy Orton came out and was like, no, I'm going to beat you. And they climbed to the top of the Punjabi prison talking smack to him and was just like, yeah. And I was like, okay. Don't
Next
care.
segment.
Then we had Jimmy Uso versus Kofi Kingston, which was not really as good as Jay versus Woods last week. And everybody stayed at ringside this time. Nobody was kicked out. There were no real shenanigans. But Jimmy was able to turn a crossbody into a leverage pin for a 3 count, and the Usos got the win.
Right.
I feel like that was the weakest part of their entire rivalry so far, because it was just a simple singles match, and Jimmy won via like a leverage pin. So it was like, yeah, they won, kinda, go Usos, they have momentum.
Yeah. Next segment.
Then we had Mike Kanellis versus Sami Zayn, which Mike Kanellis won. But I don't think it hurt Sami Zayn because Sami was getting ready to haluva kick Mike and Mike was down or whatever in the corner. And Maria came out and was like, no, I love him too much. You can't kick him in the face. And the ref was like, get out of the way. And Sami Zayn's like, get out of the way. And Mike Kanellis like, haha, big knockout punch. And then he picked him up and delivered what was, I believe, a Tiger Driver, which is his finisher, and got the 3 count.
Nice.
So, and there will be a rematch at Battleground. So,
Mm-hmm.
then we got John Cena came out and cut probably one of the worst John Cena promos I've seen in a while. I'm like, and that's not me. Stop! You're making the camera shake. And that's not me saying that like John Cena promos are bad. I'm just saying that this was a bad promo.
Yeah.
Like he came out. And he was like,
America.
We're in a flag match. And America, America, America. And these colors don't run. And I love this country. And I will defend this country by representing that flag. And I'm just sitting there. And he's like, he's cutting the promo as if this rivalry started with Rusev coming out and bashing America and being like, I will destroy America. Kind of like his Russia gimmick. But the rivalry is really just Cena came out. Rusev was like, hey, you suck. And Cena was like, I don't suck. My country's better than you. Flag match. And Rusev is like, K, LOL.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's trying to threaten America or anything. And Cena's defending America. If anything, that's kind of like somebody getting into a war with another country, invading another country and being like, don't worry, we won't let these people take our country. And we're going to defend the flag and stuff, even though we're the aggressors and we're the jerks.
That sounds familiar. Anyway.
I don't want to get political.
Yeah.
But
These
yeah, it was like
don't run.
it's like
they lie
Cena,
down because they're
like,
exhausted from Cena's promo.
Like Cena, like you're trying to act like you're defending America when you were the one who proposed the flag match.
Yeah.
And you were the one who insulted, like if anybody insulted another country in this, I'm pretty sure it was you who insulted Bulgaria, not the other way around. So it's kind of like you dragged America into this fight, and now you're like, don't worry, I got your back, and we're kind of like, and the fans got behind it, but I'm sitting there thinking like, but
I got us into this mess.
But you got us into it. But you got us into this mess. Like, I don't know. It was just, and then Rusev came out and attacked. Came out and attacked Cena. Knocked him out cold with the accolade, which I think was cool for Rusev.
There you go.
But like the promo was just like, I was like, you should have talked about maybe Rusev himself and less about Bulgaria versus America.
Bulgarians are very nice. I worked for a Bulgarian.
Mm-hmm. I worked with a Bulgarian. His name was Rusev. He was also very nice.
I worked with a Bulgarian. His name was Marion.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, in Bulgaria, everyone works. They see someone who doesn't have a job, the cops will go up to him. Do you have a job? No. Come with us. They help. They bring him. Go get him a job. Communism, not so bad. That's literally how he would talk.
Let's not talk. Anyway, then we had Becky Lynch versus Charlotte just as a match. Natty was on commentary, and good God, Natty can't do guest commentary. It was horrible. Yeah. It was bad. She's sitting there like, well, I hope these girls don't break a nail when they're fighting. And I'm like, for those of you in the audio version, I am face palming very hard.
Next segment.
No, not next segment because it's not over yet.
Well, I meant
Becky beat Charlotte with the disarmer. They shook hands respectfully. And then Lana and Tamina came out to be like, yeah, let's go. And then Natalya attacked them from behind. And then it was chaos. Who's going to win the number one contenders match? Tune in this Sunday for Battleground.
And what happened to the welcoming committee?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then we had the Fashion X-Files, which wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be.
Really?
It wasn't as great as the last couple
Well,
things.
I know they've got something planned for Battleground with it.
Mm-hmm. But it started off with Fandango dressed as Mulder in front of a board. And I think there was an image of like one of the announcers or backstage interviewers. I can't remember. Or maybe it was a ring announcer. And it said like extraterrestrial life form or something, and then there was like an image of the horse, hobby horse, or like the horse head, and it said like missing. I can't remember the name of the Tilly missing, and then Breeze came in with a red wig like Scully, and called Fandango Muldango, which was entertaining. And then they're like, we don't know if it's ghosts or aliens. Then you heard ooh. They're like, what's that? What's that? And you find a curtain, they open it up, it's Aiden English. He's like, do you mind? And then Breeze is like, why'd you do that? You messed with Aiden's just trying to warm up. Why you mess with him like that? And then a package, and then like the delivery boy came up, and then a light shone down on them, which made no sense. Like, oh, they're here. And I think it was supposed to be a joke. I think then a delivery boy showed up, and I think the package delivery person just turned on the lights, but it's like, why did only one light turn on?
Yeah.
And shine directly up on them like a spotlight. And he was wearing a green shirt, so Tyler Breeze went, oh, little green man. They signed it, and they opened it up, and it was the head of Tilly severed. Like Godfather style.
Interesting.
And with a note that was scribbled in terrible and like jagged handwriting saying Battleground.
So I'm guessing it's going to once again be the Fashion Police Breezango versus the Ascension.
I don't think so, because I think they figured out that it wasn't the Ascension, because they already beat the Ascension.
Alright, well. Next segment.
And then the main event was Owens versus Corbin versus Styles Nakamura. Corbin and Owens tried to jump Nakamura during his entrance. He fought him off. Styles helped. Decent match. Not great. But tomfoolery happened in the end, I think, on the outside. And Owens hit the pop-up powerbomb on Styles, I believe, and got the 3 count for the pin. For the win. 3 count for the win. And that was it for SmackDown.
Okay.
We got through that much quicker than we did Raw.
Let's go through NXT even quicker.
You do NXT.
Alright, so the first thing that happened on NXT was they had Ember Moon versus Ruby Riott in a very good match between the two of them. I thoroughly enjoyed it. A lot of it was just Ruby Riott taking it to Ember Moon, and Ember Moon finally got the upper hand at the end of the match and managed to beat her. But it was definitely a match that showed both of these competitors could possibly take down Asuka for the Women's Championship because they were just going all out against each other.
Okay.
So Ember Moon is now your challenger to face Asuka at TakeOver Brooklyn. After that, we had Oni Lorcan versus Danny Burch. Danny Burch, who's been signed by NXT and was featured in the United Kingdom Championship match. Mm-hmm. This match was good. These are two guys who are known as technical brawlers, and they showed that they were just beating the crap out of each other. Oni Lorcan slapped Danny Burch so hard he started bleeding. Slapped him so hard he started bleeding. It was a really good match. The match ended with them shaking hands. Lorcan went to walk away. Burch held on, said he wants one more match. The crowd was chanting, so they agreed they're going to have a rematch next week. I'm excited to see where they go from here because it was a damn good match for two people that aren't that high up on the card.
Be, like you said, we might be seeing the formation of a new tag team in NXT where it's just two hard-nosed, take-no-crap brawlers who beat the crap out of each other so bad and gain so much respect for each other through that they decide to partner up and try to take the NXT tag titles.
I think they could do a great job as a tag team together because they work so well together. Yeah. After that, we had No Way Jose.
No way, Jose. No way, Jose. No way, Jose. No way, Jose. Sorry, I just had to do that.
Yeah. Who faced Cesar Banani. And it was a decent match. It had a kind of weak ending where it was just what's his name? Jose did like a little bit of a flapjack, like throwing him up in the air, did a pop up into a punch, and then pinned him. But then after the match, Andrade Cien Almas came out and with that crazy woman that was yelling at him in that backstage segment with the iconic duo,
Peyton Royce and Billy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just started like attacking Banani, and then when Jose came down to the ring to stop, he got out of the ring and put the woman in front of him. I was like, "Oh, what are you gonna do? You gonna hit her?" Blah blah blah. And I thought it was really interesting, and I'm guessing it might lead to a match between them at TakeOver.
Maybe they finally found something to do with
Andrade,
which is good because, like, he's a good wrestler. He has had his character just has had no direction really since he came in.
That's another thing that they did. Thank you, Felix. They also promoted a tag team that's going to be debuting in NXT soon called the Street Profits.
Yeah, they promoted them last week. One of the members is Angelo Dawkins, who has been in NXT for forever. He was actually a really good friend of Tyler Breeze and Xavier Woods'. Stirring the pot?
Stirring up trouble. Angelo Dawkins.
And I don't know who the other guy is.
I don't know.
I haven't seen him yet.
And then after that, we had the main event of McIntyre versus Dane.
Number one contenders match.
I thought it was a decent match. I loved the way it ended.
It was an okay match. I expected this to be like balls to the wall, just two big undefeated guys from the United Kingdom just destroying each other. And like it ended up being like a big man match almost, where it was like, this thing happened, then this thing happened.
But the end was
slow
good.
And plodding. The ending was great, though.
The ending was really good.
The ending was really good.
Future Shock DDT and then two of those kicks to finally.
Well, not just the Future Shock DDT, but the Future Shock DDT and Killian Dane kicks out at one.
Yeah, Killian Dane kicked out at one of that.
And then he delivered the kicking finisher, and Killian Dane immediately started getting right back up.
And just slapping himself in the face.
And then the third one, when he was on his knees, finally put him down for the 3 count. Yeah. Killian Dane's undefeated streak is over, and as expected, we will get Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Roode at TakeOver Brooklyn, which I am stoked for.
That's going to be a really good
match. And I really hope that McIntyre wins, because I think McIntyre should be the next NXT champion.
I am okay with whoever wins.
I mean, I'm okay with Roode winning. I just really, really want Drew McIntyre to win, because you know me. I'm a big Drew McIntyre guy. I've been big on Drew McIntyre forever. I never wanted him to get kicked out of WWE. I was saddened when he was part of 3MB because I felt like that was a gross misuse of him.
Yeah.
So, like, I am all aboard the Drew McIntyre hype train. All aboard the station. Next stop, Brooklyn.
Yes. And now, we get to the next segment of our show.
The Battleground predictions for the right to have this lovely, lovely thing that your two-time champion has and covets.
Well, let's get to it because we don't have that much time.
Let's go ahead and let's get to the predictions. First off, I believe this is a kickoff match. We have Ty Dillinger versus Aiden English.
Yeah, you're champion.
Yeah, I'm champion.
First,
champion goes first. You're not used to that anymore, are you?
Well, we just implemented that last time.
Yeah, we did. I'm gonna go with Ty Dillinger. I don't think Aiden English. They're high on Ty, especially with the way he performed in the Battle Royal, and they really haven't proven that they're gonna do anything with Aiden English. So I'm going with Ty Dillinger.
I'm gonna go with Ty as well. Ty is my guy.
Then we've got Zayn versus Mike Kanellis. If this was the first time they were battling, I wouldn't know who would win. Because it's the first time battling, we wouldn't know if Maria would cause any ridiculousness. But the fact they had the match on SmackDown and Maria already got involved and Sammy lost, and now this is on a pay-per-view, I don't see Sammy losing twice in a row to Kanellis so soon after one another. And I think Zayn will win, and this rivalry will continue on to SummerSlam or whatever. So I'm going with Sami Zayn.
Just to be different, and because of the fact that, he had his debut match and won, but it's still his first pay-per-view match, I am going to go with Kanellis.
Hey, I did that to be different so that we would have a definitive winner next time, and to be honest, those changing picks really didn't make a difference because the deciding pick was a tag title match. So there.
Well, I didn't say anything about it, but
Big Stupid, who is saying new rule, no change in predictions, you have to go through to make your picks.
That's also kind of a good idea to go with, possibly.
Yeah, maybe.
Not that it would have affected it last time, but...
Mm-hmm. And footballers, who do you guys think is the best women's wrestler outside of WWE? I don't really watch any women's wrestling outside of WWE, so I wouldn't know. So the Mae Young Classic will probably help me to figure that out. Okay, so you have Kanellis, I have Zayn. SmackDown #1 contenders match. We got Charlotte versus Becky versus Tamina versus Lana versus Natty.
I know who I'm picking.
Unless we're gonna get a Becky Lynch heel turn, I feel like Lana already had her shots. They've been showcasing Natty, but Natty she already have her opportunity with Naomi, or no?
She may have had a match on SmackDown with the whole welcoming committee thing, but I don't remember her ever getting a title match against Naomi.
I want to say Tamina because I feel like Tamina would be a legitimate threat, and I think she would work a good program with Naomi. But just based on the booking, the way they've been booking things, I think I'm gonna go with Natty.
Okay.
Actually,
I
would like to pick Tamina.
So I'm gonna go with who I hope will win, and that's Charlotte.
Charlotte, okay.
Because also there's the fact that never finished her business with Naomi for the title back with that whole welcoming committee thing.
To be honest, I think Charlotte and Lana are the two who won't be there.
Like I said, I don't really know too much because I don't watch SmackDown, but I really like Charlotte, and I'm hoping it's Charlotte.
It could be Charlotte, and then we could get some heelness involved with Becky turning and getting another shot. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going with Natty. You're going with Charlotte. Okay. Then we got Cena versus Rusev. Cena wins this. Yep. There's not even a discussion. Cena doesn't lose to Rusev in a flag match, in his first match back since WrestleMania.
Yeah. So it'd be nice for Rusev to get a win, but he's not going to win this match.
Yeah. And then we got Nakamura versus Corbin. Again, Corbin's got the briefcase. I feel like he's facing Nakamura, who hasn't lost yet, who's going to get pushed to the moon. He's got the briefcase to protect him. Nakamura is not losing this match. Nakamura's first loss is not coming to Baron Corbin at Battleground.
Yeah, exactly. Corbin's got the briefcase, so he could lose to pretty much anyone, and he will still be protected because the very next day or even later that night, he could just be like, "Oh, hey, I'm champion."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we both have Nakamura. Styles versus Kevin Owens. I think AJ Styles. I don't know. I feel like Styles retains and they battle again because
Yeah, this is easily a 50-50 thing.
Yeah, because I feel like Styles retains because he just won the championship, and I think you would want to keep that on him for a while. But at the same time,
I thought that with Kevin Owens, and he lost it to Jericho and then won it back.
yeah, I'm gonna go with AJ simply because of the fact that I think they're gonna keep it on AJ for a while. And Kevin Owens came out looking strong at the end of SmackDown, which normally indicates that the opposite person is gonna win at the pay-per-view.
Just because looking to be different, and also because I think either one could win, I'm going to go with Kevin Owens. Okay. My man, Kevin Owens, with the finger of America.
Then we've got the Usos versus the New Day. Usos came out with the win, the latest win on SmackDown, and they survived by the skin of their teeth on
the last pay-per-view.
On Money in the Bank. Was that the last one, Money in the Bank?
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be any tomfoolery or trickery again. I feel like it's easy to get the New Day to win and just do the title rematch at SummerSlam. And it's not like you have to hold off for the New Day to win the titles at SummerSlam. It's not like it's a long journey, and they've strived so hard to win. So I think the New Day is going to win and get the tag titles.
Okay.
At Battleground.
To be different, and because I like them so much right now, they're doing so great, I'm going to go with the Usos.
Usos, okay. That's another one where I think it could go either way.
Yeah.
The Usos could win, and then just the New Day earn a number one contender shot again, and then we keep going. Or...
Could I put a little asterisk on there?
What's the asterisk?
I'm going to predict that they're going to win, but I'm also going to predict that regardless of actual determination, that they are at least going to be walking away with the championship at the end of the night.
Okay. But you still have them picked to win. So that's
yeah. I'm just saying that's one thing I want pointed out.
You just don't think they're losing the championships, even if they lose. You think it'll be a disqualification or a count out again.
Yeah, something like that.
All right. Then we have the main event, Mahal versus Orton with the Punjabi Prison. I'm pretty sure Jinder Mahal's winning this, because I think what they're going to do next after this is you do John Cena versus Jinder Mahal for the WWE Championship at SummerSlam. Cena wins, gets his record-breaking championship win at SummerSlam, and Cena's a transitional champion for whoever's next after that.
Which will be
maybe Corbin
immediately after.
Yeah, maybe Baron Corbin will pull a thing right after that. Or who knows? Maybe you could do Orton winning and then Corbin, because it's a Punjabi Prison match, cashing in right afterwards.
Yeah.
But I think minus sans them pulling the trigger on Corbin this early, I think Jinder Mahal's winning and walking into SummerSlam as a champion.
Yeah. My prediction is Mahal winning, but another little asterisk thing, if he doesn't win, like you said, I think Corbin's going to cash in.
All right, so we have 4 different picks, so
it's going to be a little bit different this time.
This is going to be an interesting one. Who knows if I'll be able to hold on to this into SummerSlam. I want to, because then I can
it'd be nice.
Close to challenging you for longest reigning, too. Yeah. Recap. We both have Ty Dillinger beating Aiden English. I have Sami Zayn beating Mike Kanellis. You have Kanellis winning that one. Mm-hmm. You have Charlotte emerging from the 5-lady SmackDown Women's title #1 contender match. I have Natalya. We both have Cena beating Rusev in the flag match. We both have Shinsuke Nakamura beating Baron Corbin in their match. I have AJ Styles retaining the U.S. title. You have Owens beating AJ Styles and winning the United States Championship back. You have the Usos retaining the tag titles against the New Day. I have the New Day being crowned as the new champs. And then we both have Jinder Mahal beating Randy Orton, although we both acknowledge the fact that Orton could very well win just to set up a Corbin cash-in.
Yeah.
But we both think Mahal's going to win anyway. So there we go.
Unless they want to have Orton win and do, once again, Orton versus Cena at SummerSlam. Mm-hmm. For the upteenth time, John Cena versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship.
I was going to make a really bad joke in bad taste, but I'm not going to do it.
We can't see that?
No, it was going to be a... No. I don't even want to say it because I feel bad thinking it.
Okay.
So I'll tell you after the show.
Okay.
I'm not going to say that on air because that's very poor taste. Anyway, that wraps up our wrestling section. Can you take us into the video game news?
Yes, first thing in video game news is we got PUBG news.
PUBG?
Yep. First,
PUBG.
bit of news about it is the fact that apparently there was a streamer who got banned from the game because he was violating the code of conduct of the game of not team killing. And the specific incident was his team went to get in a vehicle and there wasn't enough space in the vehicle for everyone, so he killed one of his teammates so they wouldn't have to worry about that. So he got banned from the game and then made a tweet saying something along the lines of, don't worry, Ryback, that's coming. But basically going on saying that he was gonna kick and attack Brendan, PlayerUnknown Green. And he responded to it being like, yeah, I kind of had an incident like that happen to me in college where I actually got kicked and my head went through a plate glass window and kind of don't have good memories about that. So do me a favor, don't make vague, even joking threats about that.
Know the name of the streamer at all? Can you look it up?
Yeah, I'll be able to find it.
Might be somebody I might know.
I know he goes by Doc.
Doc? Is it Dr. Disrespect?
Yes.
Wow, Dr. Disrespect got banned?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm bringing it up just to double check, but I'm pretty sure that he did because with his whole persona, he went and killed his teammate, which is against the code of conduct of the game.
That's huge. Dr. Disrespect is a huge guy. I thought it was just some random streamer being a dick, but when you think about it...
Yep, Dr. Disrespect broke that rule flagrantly when he killed another player because a vehicle didn't have room to save them.
That changes things entirely, because if it's just a regular streamer, then yeah, he's being a dick, he deserves the ban. But with Dr. Disrespect,
it's all a character.
That's his character. That's part of the entertainment factor of it. So it's like...
Well, I think it may have been just like an auto thing.
Maybe he shouldn't have broken the rules. And like, him saying he's going to be violent with them, that's again in his character. That's him just acting in character.
Yeah, he was saying that, like, the way he was putting it is like, I'm going to kick him in the back of the head, but if he's in front of me, then I'll just kick him in the chest. And a lot of people saw it as a joke, but it's because he had that incident in his past. He's like, yeah, can we not make those kinds of jokes?
When did that story come out? Footballer said he thinks he got unbanned. Is there an update there?
I'll double check. But I do not remember seeing anything about it yet. But like I said, it was like I think it was like an auto thing, and it wouldn't surprise me because it seemed like it was a kind of he was joking. A lot of people said to do it jokingly, and he was just like, "Just do me a favor and don't make those kinds of jokes." And I think he may have been unbanned, but
yeah, but yeah, like I really like when it's Dr. Disrespect. That's like
the ban was only temporary.
It was only temporary.
And he has seemed to move on to Destiny 2 for now.
Yeah, because the beta is going on right now. But, yeah, so, but, like, that I think is just, like, a little bit of an overblown thing. Like, I understand where Chad Green's coming from, but, like...
Chad Green?
Or, is that his name?
Brendan
Green, sorry. I understand where Brendan Green's coming from, but... Dr. Disrespect isn't just any ordinary streamer. Like, he's playing a character who's supposed to be a jerk and a dick, and it's a form of entertainment.
It wasn't like they specifically sought him out and banned him. I think
like his comments about the violence thing.
Yeah.
Like, I understand where he's coming from, but at the same time, it's not like he is speaking as, like, an actual person. Yeah. He's speaking as his character, which is a form of entertainment, and everybody on Twitch and all of his followers know he's playing a character and not to take anything he says seriously.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't see, like, why, like, I understand where he's coming from. I don't think he really needed to say that. And, I mean, I guess, to be fair, Dr. Disrespect did break the code of conduct, and if he did it to a guy who, like, maybe didn't expect it, then that's not cool. But, like, I mean, I think he was doing it as a laugh, as part of an entertainment thing. But, I mean, this really is the big deal. Like, if it's temporary ban, it's fine. If anything, this is good for Dr. Disrespect because it gets him more publicity.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, like, a bad thing that he did.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it was a matter of, he did that after the ban. And like I said, it's a matter of the way I always view things of just be careful what you say to people in general just because you don't know people's specific history. I mean, I understand it was a joke, and he understood it was a joke, and he's like, I understand. It's just he wanted to make that statement because he had that bad incident that way, because he doesn't like seeing people even jokingly talk about violence.
Yeah.
That's mostly what that was about.
And like Big Stupid said, yeah, it does show no matter who you are, if you mess with the rules,
you're going to
get in trouble.
Yeah.
So.
But also with Player Unknown's Battlegrounds, they have
PUBG.
also, with PUBG, they've now also surpassed GTA 5 in most players playing on Steam that game at once.
Which is huge, because GTA 5 has been like the king since it came out on Steam. So that's like, what, 2-3 years now?
Something like that. And the only game, GTA 5 had their record with 360,761, which was achieved in April 2015. PUBG just did 382,561 4 months into its early access.
A 2-year record held by the behemoth of GTA 5.
Yep.
This goes to show how popular PUBG is becoming.
Yeah, but then it's going to be difficult for them to get past the next one, which is Fallout 4, which has their record at 471,955, which is almost 100,000 more. And then on top of that, above that, which is even more so, is Counter-Strike Global Offensive which is sitting at more than 850,000.
Well, that's CS:GO. I don't think CS:GO. They might pass. It all depends on if PUBG can keep its momentum and keeps improving. I can see it definitely overtaking Fallout 4.
Oh yeah, in time, just not yet.
Will it overtake CS:GO? It's yet to be seen, because CS:GO is like the behemoth of Steam games.
Yeah. And then after that, we get into our your weekly Overwatch news. There's a couple bits of Overwatch news this week. The first one being that apparently the new Overwatch logo for the Overwatch League is not sitting too well with the MLB. They actually have filed a I don't know if you'd consider it a complaint or what, but they filed a report more or less with the United States Patent and Trademark Office to put a 90-day hold on it being approved, because they may potentially contest that whether or not it is a legitimate thing. For those of you who do not know what it looks like,
it's basically Tracer.
Yeah, it's basically Tracer on a black and orange background.
I think it's ridiculous by the MLB, and I think they're doing it just because it's gaming. But
they approved it with MLG.
Like Major League Gaming's main logo is the same color scheme as the MLB. It's just a controller instead of a player. And if you're arguing instead of a character, and if you're arguing that it's a character Tracer as opposed to the batter, then why haven't they ever sued the NBA?
Yeah,
because the NBA, it's the same exact thing.
The NBA, PGA, with a bunch of different things.
I think it's stupid. I don't think it's going to hold any
PGA
water.
Tour, Major League Gaming, Indie Racing League, National Basketball Association, they all have a similar thing. But they only have until July 26th to state an opposition before it's thrown out.
I'm sure they will, because MLG is owned by Activision, and Activision will not go down without a fight.
No, I'm saying apparently in order for them to put this hold on, Major League Baseball has to put in what their opposition to it is by July 26th.
I can't understand a single lawyer going up to the MLB and being like, yeah, this is a good idea. You'll definitely win this case.
Yeah.
If they win this case, and that's a precedent being like, what? Can the MLB now sue the NBA?
Yeah, exactly.
The PGA? Maybe this is them testing out the waters to see if they can sue all these people for using their logo.
It's possible.
Or doing a similar logo, but I think it's dumb.
Yeah, I agree. But next big news, we have a release date for Doomfist. He is coming July 27th. He's coming this upcoming Thursday, and I am so excited. Mm-hmm. But along with his release, they also came out with a new comic that they entitled Masquerade for Doomfist for Overwatch, which goes on starting right from when he breaks out of prison with Reaper sitting there next to a plane to take him out of there, being like, what took you so long? And it goes into more of the story of the Talon organization, how it works, how different members are involved in the organization.
Instead of it just being this shadowy evil thing.
Yes, and they show that it is a council. We now know at least one other member, an Omnic named Maximilian, who they meet in a casino that he seems to own and operate. And
then we know of another one who Doomfist killed, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to find the name here because I do not remember his name. Maximilian, who, like I said, Doomfist meets with in Vivali. or Viali is the other guy's name, who is a Venetian member of the organization who Doomfist meets up with having, I believe it was Sombra and Reaper taking out his kind of backup forces around the area, and during their meeting, literally just grabs him and throws him off of a bridge. So that brings Talon down to one more member, and his reason for doing that is, he doesn't want as many people disagreeing with him. And it seems that their whole plan is tied into what they've been doing with Volskaya Industries and the assassination of the Omnic in London, showing that London is like the most hotbed area for anti-Omnic presence, and that is Doomfist is trying to start another human Omnic war.
But the thing is, like, is that Doomfist's goal or Talon's goal? Because if one of Talon's leadership is an Omnic, why would he work with humans to start a human Omnic war?
Because he might not be necessarily involved in it, and there's money to be made. So he's not necessarily for the war, but it's a matter of, well, I can make money through this, so if you want to do that, go ahead.
Unless his casinos get blown the hell up in the war.
True. But one of the other reasons why Doomfist had this guy Viali killed is because of the fact that he was the one who ordered the mission for Reaper and Sombra and them to go into Volskaya Industries to try and kill the leader, which Sombra has not done, and had her own little mission, which they also reveal in this, that at least Reaper and Widowmaker know about Sombra's little secret meeting that she had with the person and not actually killing them. And Doomfist was glad that the assassination did not actually work out, because that would have further prolonged this war that he's looking for. So there were people who were looking to try and stop a potential war and go against what Doomfist wants, this guy Viali. But Doomfist has now eliminated him, and the failed assassination attempt has fueled it even further, so he was happy with the fact that it did not work out,
I guess.
So they know that Sombra has her own agenda. They're looking out after that. We know that Talon has at least 2 or 3 other council members that we do not know the identities of. We also know that Reaper has been killing Overwatch agents that we haven't seen in the game. A lot of information coming out of this. So very, very big, important stuff. And like I said, main thing that I'm excited for, June 27th, we finally get Doomfist coming to all systems.
Yes.
And that does it for our Overwatch news this week. Next little bit of news we have is the general manager of BioWare, Aaron Flynn, who is also the game director for the new game that they're coming out with, Anthem, has stepped down from his position as general manager of the company.
Is he still with BioWare?
He is still with BioWare. He is still the game director for Anthem, but he is stepping down from the general manager position.
Did he state what were his reasons?
His reasons was that it looked like Casey Hudson was building up to take the job and seemed to be doing very well, so he stepped down to allow him to take over the position.
That makes sense. Casey Hudson has kind of become the face of BioWare since the founders Greg Zishuk and Ray Muska left.
Yeah, so he's going to be working with him throughout the remainder of this month, and starting next month, Casey Hudson is taking over as general manager of BioWare. So cool. But Anthem hopefully should not be affected, and if anything, it should be better because he's going to have more focus on it.
He's focusing on it now.
Next little bit of news is that Dragon Ball Fighter Z, or Fighters, has announced that their next playable character is Trunks.
Future Trunks.
Future Trunks. Yeah, Future Trunks will be
or
a
GT
playable
Trunks.
girl
That abomination.
in the game.
GT Trunks, not him. Awesome news. That was pretty much a given.
Yeah,
I mean, outside of
who thought Trunks would be in the game?
Outside of Goku, Vegeta, and Gohan, Trunks is like the most popular character on the show.
It's
arguable that Trunks might even be more popular than Gohan and maybe even Vegeta.
Yeah, I'd say he's probably on the same level as Gohan, just a little behind Vegeta.
So,
no surprise.
It's good. No surprise that he's there. He's got his sword, which he will slash around with. He does stuff
hack and slash.
He's got his burning attack. We got to see him use the burning attack. Some of attacks he can transform into Super Saiyan mode. And this we don't know about alternative costumes. I don't think for characters. We know you can change their colors or whatever. But the outfit the Future Trunks is wearing is him when he first appears. After Frieza Saga, when he cuts Frieza up into tiny little bits and then blasts away the remains.
Yeah.
Which was him in the Capsule Corp jacket and the pants and the boots and the white shirt underneath and the sword.
Yep.
So, not like hyperbolic time chamber Trunks where he's got the really long hair and the Saiyan armor.
Yeah. And lastly, we've got a good amount of news of Kingdom Hearts 3, where at the D23 Expo this year, they have released a new trailer for the game, which showcases the game's first Pixar planet that you'll be visiting, which will be Andy's bedroom from Toy Story. And with that trailer, they also revealed that there will be at least one point in the game where you can play with not 1, not 2, not 3, but up to 5 characters, which has never been seen in a Kingdom Hearts game before.
It's traditionally in Kingdom Hearts games, the party is 3.
Yeah,
it's always
and you could swap.
It's always going to be in. No, you can't swap people out.
In the first one, you could swap Donald or Goofy out for someone else from another planet. Like you could swap Goofy out for Jack Skellington and things. I
thought they were just they just joined your party.
Nope.
All right, well then Kingdom Hearts 2, they definitely joined your party.
Well, yeah, okay.
So like. It's always like Sora, Goofy, Donald are still the main cast, the same trio like in the regular. It's not like these new Keyblade Warriors or other characters are going to become main party members that you're putting in or you're expanding to. It's just when you're on planets, instead of swapping a character in or him being like a helper, additional party member, like there will now be 2, who knows, maybe more characters that will join the party to fight.
Yeah. But I believe it's also a matter of their joining the party, as in, I believe, like, how you had some control over Donald and Goofy and everything. I believe you also have the same kind of control over them as well.
Yeah, which is cool.
Yeah.
So, and like, Toy Story World, the Toy Story planet, like, Andy's room, looked awesome.
Yeah.
Like, it looked cool. Like, we actually, like, saw gameplay, like, full-on gameplay, and it looks fun. Looks Kingdom Heartsy. I like that like Sora and them, of course, they always change to fit the style of the world they're in, and they were all like toyified. Like Sora was almost like a wooden soldier type thing.
Yeah.
Which was cool. So yeah. Did you see, by the way, before we get to the last final exciting piece of news from that story, did you see that somebody made a joke and said, "Oh, if you think Toy Story World was good, wait until you see Sora's look for Cars World." And somebody took a car from the movie Cars, like almost like Lightning McQueen, and like Sorified him.
Oh,
and it was hilarious and horrifying at the same time. Like he had like the Kingdom Hearts crown like logo like stickered on the side of him. Like the color of his outfit was the color of the car, and they like had his hair on his on the head of the car.
Oh my god!
On the roof, it was hilarious.
That would be the worst. God.
Mm-hmm. Like kill it with fire.
Seriously.
But the biggest part of that story is that we finally know when Kingdom Hearts is coming out. We have a release window.
Yeah, at least.
A 12-month release window. It's coming out next year, 2018.
Yes.
We were talking about how it wasn't at E3, and we were like, it might not come out until 2020, 2021.
Yeah.
And people were getting worried, but no, it's finally coming out in 2018 after 6 years of development.
Yeah.
Announced in 2012. And then we saw it in, I think, 2013 or 14 or 15 or whatever. And then, like...
It wasn't this last E3, it was the one before.
Yeah. We finally saw, like, a trailer about it, which was really weird and obscure. And now we finally look like we're going to actually have the game.
It's about time.
Yeah. I mean, if it's anything like what happened in Final Fantasy 15, I think we're in good hands. Final Fantasy 15, also made by Square Enix, was in development hell for a while. And everybody thought when it came out it was going to be bad. And it was actually a really good Final Fantasy. Not the best Final Fantasy. You could clearly tell there were parts there were corners that were cut that I wish weren't. That kept it from being like an all-time great game, but it was still an awesome Final Fantasy game.
Yeah, but I mean they're making up for it by putting those corners that they cut into VR.
No, they're not. That part was already in the game, and it was the worst part of the game. Freaking VR
but
fishing.
It wasn't the VR part of the game.
Anyway, I don't think people should be worried about the fact that the game's been in development for forever. It looks like it's going to be good, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, it looks good, and I'm very excited to get into it.
2018, finally. And with that piece of news, that exciting little tidbit, that is going to end episode 16 of the Super Grapple Bros podcast. But one final thing I want to talk about before we close things up is that I have recently, and I will be doing a more in-depth vlog about this sometime soon for the YouTube channel as a whole, but I have recently gotten a new job. I have a new job offer. I will be doing social media work for NBC Sports, working on the Winter Olympics, which will be fun.
Those are in South Korea this year, right?
Yes. I may or may not go to South Korea. We'll see. But we normally shoot these. We normally go live with these on Friday during the day, and they go up on Saturday. In the hopes that we can get you guys our predictions at least to pay-per-views before the pay-per-view comes out.
Yes.
Unfortunately, like, I'm going to be working all day Friday, so we're not sure exactly what we're going to do with the podcast going forward. We are entertaining an option of maybe once every other week. We try to shoot it on a Friday night or something, and we just do the predictions then. Like on a Friday night, so that way you guys get the predictions in. We are entertaining the idea of maybe doing it on Saturdays, maybe every other Saturday or something. We're working on trying to figure something out so that way we can still do wrestling recaps, maybe not as in-depth and week to week as we used to do, and still do the predictions and reviews of pay-per-view events, and still do talk about big video game news. So the podcast isn't going anywhere. We just need to work on and figure out if we're going to be able to do it weekly still, or if it's bi-weekly. It may work out to where we try to do it weekly, and we may miss a week or two here and there. Mm-hmm. That's just wanted to give everybody a heads up on that. I start August 6th, so you guys, of course, have this week's episode, next week's episode, and the week after to look forward to. There will still be 2 more normal Friday, middle of the day or early morning live streams. Then it'll be up on Saturday to everybody else on all other platforms. But going forward after that, it's going to be a little uncertain, and we're going to try and go with the flow, see how things go, and try to figure out a system from there. So we just ask that you all please be patient with us.
Yes.
While we go through a trial and error session with my new job. So with that public service announcement done and over with, that will bring a close now to episode 16. Do not forget that you can catch us live on twitch.tv/L_Murpho. I always send out a tweet whenever we go live on Twitter at L_Murpho. I also have a Discord channel that you can join if you're watching on Twitch. It is down below down below there. I believe I have the link in the description on YouTube. So you can find it on YouTube as well. So if you are listening to this on the auto form, go to Twitch or YouTube to find the Discord server. I always announce when we go live there, as well with all my other live streams that I do on Twitch. Thank you, by the way, to Jane05 for the follow here towards the end. You can catch us on demand, not only on Twitch, but also on my YouTube channel, as I mentioned before. That is Murpho Real, youtube.com/c/Murpho Real, where our podcast goes up in full, pretty much just clipped off and put up onto YouTube. You can find us in audio form on Google Play, SoundCloud, and iTunes, and almost anywhere the podcast can be found by looking up Super Grapple Bros. So if you want to listen to us rather than watch us, or you can't catch us live, or you're on a train or something, you want to listen, give us a listen. Do not forget on those audio versions to rate, review, and subscribe. That helps us get more visibility. And also, don't forget to like, share, and comment on YouTube as well to spread the word over there. And if you're here on Twitch, do not forget to join in on the conversation. Get in on the chat. As you guys know, we do acknowledge certain messages and questions and stuff in the chat. If you cannot give us questions via the chat or in the comment section on YouTube, you can email us at supergrapplebros@gmail.com with any questions or topic suggestions you might have, and we'll give it a good hard look and likely answer it or talk about it on the next episode.
Yep.
So that's all of our promotion stuff on where you can find us. For DMurph, I am El Murpho. Thank you all so much for watching and or listening. This has been Super Grapple Bros. Until we see you next week, deuces. Peace. Hopefully I'll still have this next week.
We'll see.
We'll find out. Hopefully and still.
We'll see.
And still. I guess.
Peace.
Shut up and sit down.